Pip's Great Adventure. Once upon a time, nestled in a valley filled with giggling wildflowers and whispering trees, lived a tiny snail named Pip. Pip wasn't like the other snails. While they happily munched on juicy lettuce leaves and admired their shiny, swirling shells, Pip dreamed of adventure. He longed to see the world beyond his little patch of the valley. He'd spend hours listening to the twittering swallows, picturing the faraway lands they'd seen. He dreamt of towering mountains, sparkling oceans, and maybe, just maybe, a giant strawberry bigger than his shell. The other snails would chuckle. An adventure, Pip? You're a snail. You're too slow. You'll never get anywhere. But Pip wouldn't let their words dim his spirit. One sunny morning, Pip made his decision. He packed a single dewdrop in a tiny hazelnut shell for sustenance, climbed onto a dandelion seed, and with a deep breath, whispered, "Ready or not, world, here I come." The wind caught the dandelion seed and lifted Pip into the air. He gasped, his little heart pounding with excitement. Below him, the valley shrunk smaller and smaller. His journey was filled with tiny adventures. He landed on a friendly ladybug who gave him a ride across a vast field of clover. He met a wise old earthworm who told him stories of the world beneath the soil. He even had a brief, but thrilling, ride on the back of a busy bee, buzzing past fields of lavender. Not all his experiences were pleasant. He got caught in a sudden rainstorm and almost washed away. He had to hide under a toadstool for hours until the storm passed. He even got hopelessly lost in a maze of towering grass stalks, feeling smaller and more insignificant than ever before. But each challenge made him stronger. He learned to navigate by the sun, to find shelter in the leaves, and to never give up, even when things looked bleak. Finally, after many days, Pip arrived at his destination, a magnificent strawberry patch, even bigger and juicier than he had imagined. And right in the middle, sat a strawberry so enormous, it could house a whole family of snails. Pip slowly climbed the glistening red fruit, his little heart filled with wonder. He had done it. He had followed his dream and reached his destination. But as he looked around at the vast strawberry patch, he realized something important. The real adventure wasn't just about reaching the strawberry. It was about the journey itself. It was about the friends he made, the challenges he overcame, and the lessons he learned along the way. He spent a happy few days munching on delicious strawberries, sharing them with the ladybugs and earthworms who came to visit. Then, with a happy sigh, Pip knew it was time to go home. He found another dandelion seed and floated back to his valley, his heart overflowing with stories to tell. The other snails were amazed by his tales. They had never seen Pip so bright-eyed and full of life. And from that day on, Pip was no longer just a tiny snail in a small valley. He was Pip, the adventurer, the snail who dared to dream big and prove that even the smallest creature can achieve extraordinary things, one slow but determined step at a time. And sometimes, all you need is a dandelion seed and a whole lot of courage. The end. Marcel and the Giggling Flower. Marcel was a small monkey with a very big imagination. His hair was the color of burnt cinnamon and his eyes, the bright, inquisitive blue of a robin's egg. He lived in a cozy little tree nestled at the edge of the jungle and spent most of his days exploring. One sunny morning, Marcel was on a particularly exciting adventure. He was searching for the legendary giggling flower, a bloom said to have petals that tickled your nose with happiness. As he ventured deeper into the woods, he heard a faint whimpering. Marcel, being a brave and kind little monkey, followed the sound, pushing aside ferns and parting thick bushes. He finally found the source, a tiny, colorful parrot who has been trapped in vines. "Oh, you poor thing!" Marcel exclaimed, kneeling down. The parrot looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. Marcel gently tried to wiggle the vines loose, but it wouldn't budge. He pulled and tugged, but the vines held tight. He sighed, feeling frustrated. How could he rescue the parrot? Then, Marcel remembered his grandpa's advice: sometimes, the smallest things can make the biggest difference. He looked around, and his eyes fell on a small, smooth pebble. He picked it up and, carefully, wedged it under the vine, creating a little space. He did the same with another pebble, and another, until finally, with a gentle push, the parrot's wing was free. The parrot, now unbound, chirped gratefully and flew up a nearby tree trunk. It paused on a branch, singing down at Marcel as if to say thank you. Marcel smiled, feeling a surge of warmth in his chest. As he continued his quest for the giggling flower, Marcel noticed something different. The tree seemed taller, the birds sang sweeter, and even the sun felt warmer on his face. He realized that helping the parrot had made him feel lighter, happier, and more open to the wonders of the jungle. Suddenly, he heard a sound, a soft, bubbling giggle coming from behind a large, heart-shaped leaf. He peeked around it and gasped. There it was. The giggling flower. It wasn't as grand or as sparkly as he had imagined. It was a small, unassuming flower with petals the color of sunshine, and it was emitting a faint, delightful giggle. Marcel leaned in and gently touched a petal to his nose. He burst out laughing. It wasn't a loud, boisterous laugh, but a quiet, happy chuckle that bubbled up from his belly. He understood now. The flower wasn't magic because of its petals, it was magic because it reminded him to find joy in the little things, just like he had when he helped the squirrel. The happiness wasn't in the flower, it was already inside him, waiting to be discovered. Marcel carefully picked the giggling flower and planted it in a sunny spot near his tree. He knew that even when he wasn't in the deep jungle, he could look at the flower and remember the joy of helping others and appreciating the beauty of the world around him. And that, he knew, was a kind of magic that would last forever. From that day on, Marcel's imagination grew even bigger, fueled by kindness, adventure, and the delightful giggle of a very special flower. The end. Glimmer and her lost shoe. Once upon a time, in a cozy burrow beneath the roots of an ancient oak tree, lived a little golden mouse named Glimmer. Glimmer wasn't just any mouse, her fur shimmered like spun sunshine, and her whiskers twitched with endless curiosity. She loved to explore the meadow, chase butterflies, and collect shiny pebbles. One sunny morning, Glimmer decided to wear her favorite shoes, tiny, red, poppyseed shoes that her mother had sewn for her. They were perfect for skipping through the tall grass and dancing on the dew-kissed petals of wildflowers. Be careful, Glimmer, her mother warned, her voice gentle. The meadow is full of adventures, but also little surprises. Glimmer promised to be careful, and with a flick of her golden tail, she was off. She scampered through the daisy fields, giggling as a playful bumblebee tickled her nose. She chased a fluffy dandelion seed, sending it soaring into the sky. She was so busy having fun that she didn't notice when, as she leaped over a particularly plump mushroom, one of her poppyseed shoes slipped off. She was so busy having fun that she didn't notice when, as she leaped over a particularly plump mushroom, one of her poppyseed shoes slipped off. Oh dear, where could it have gone? She squeaked, her voice trembling. She retraced her steps, searching high and low. She peeked under the daisies, behind the mushrooms, and even inside a hollow acorn. But the red poppyseed shoe was nowhere to be found. Glimmer was starting to feel very sad. Her favorite shoe was lost, and she didn't know what to do. Tears welled up in her big, brown eyes. Suddenly, she heard a small, chirping sound. She looked up and saw a little robin perched on a branch above her. "What's wrong, little golden mouse?" the robin chirped, tilting its head. "I lost my shoe," Glimmer wailed, pointing to her bare paw. "It was my favorite one, and I can't find it anywhere." The robin hopped down to a lower branch. I saw something red and shiny near the stream," he said. "Maybe it's your shoe." Glimmer's ears perked up. "The stream!" "Thank you, Mr. Robin," she cried, and, forgetting her sadness, she scurried towards the sound of trickling water. When she reached the stream, she saw it. Her little red shoe was caught on a smooth, round pebble at the edge of the water. It looked a little wet, but otherwise, it was perfectly fine. With a happy squeak, Glimmer carefully retrieved her shoe. She shook it out and slipped it back onto her paw. It felt so good to have both shoes on again. She looked up at the robin, who was watching her with a smile. "Thank you, Mr. Robin. You saved the day." The robin chirped cheerfully and then flew off into the sky. Glimmer, now with her poppyseed shoes back on her paws, continued her adventures in the meadow. This time, she was even more careful, making sure to keep a close eye on her precious footwear. She learned that even when things go wrong, there's always someone willing to help, and that a little bit of kindness can make all the difference in the world. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Glimmer returned to her cozy burrow beneath the roots of the oak tree, her golden fur shimmering in the twilight. She snuggled up next to her mother, feeling grateful for her home, her shoes, and all the wonderful friends she had in the meadow. And as she drifted off to sleep, she dreamt of more adventures and shiny pebbles, always remembering to be careful and kind along the way. The end.